I'm joined now by Defence Minister Peter Dutton. Mr Dutton, thanks for joining us. And what can you tell us about this laser attack on an Australian aircraft? What will be Australia's reaction to it?
Good morning, Andrew. Well, look, it's a serious situation. There was activity, as we've seen in recent times, to People Liberation Army Navy vessels that were trekking down through the Arafura Sea, now in the Coral Sea. So they had chosen that path, and obviously as part of that, we've got a surveillance plane in the air, and one of the ships has directed a laser at the P-8, the P-8 RAAF plane, and it's completely unacceptable. It can result in the blindness of the crew. It can obviously result in damage of equipment. It's military grade. It's a very aggressive act, and that's why it's right that we call it out. So, given there's not much communication with the Chinese government at the moment, is the way to call it out to do it publicly? You don't have any other avenues, or will the government be contacting the embassy? No, Defence has already reached into their counterparts. That process will go underway, but the most important thing, I suppose, is to shine light on these sorts of behaviours. I think the Chinese government is hoping that nobody talks about these aggressive bullying acts. We're seeing different forms of it right across the region in many parts of the world. It's happening on a daily basis in the East China Sea, up against Japan, obviously on the land border between China and India. We're seeing acts of aggression in the illegal fishing space and economic coercion on many countries. Corrupt payments being made to different governments. The list goes on and on. So we have to be realistic about the situation, and that's why I think we're better to be open and honest, because if we are to change their behaviour, if we are to bring the relationship back to a normalised position, which is what we want, and if we want to deter them from heading on the path that they're on at the moment, then I think we're better off to be very open and honest about their actions and about our response.
Just briefly on this, it sounds like from the account they're surveilling us or seeking to surveil Northern Australia. We surveil them in return with the aircraft, and that's when they shine the laser. Is that how you'd characterise it?
Well, they're in our economic zone, so they're in Australian waters. So you would expect that we would conduct surveillance flights, and that's as they would do if our vessels are charting through the South China Sea or elsewhere closer to mainland China. So that is a normal practice. There's nothing abnormal in terms of what the RAAF was undertaking. We want to know where those vessels are going, what activity they're up to, particularly given that they're coming down through our northern approaches across through the Torres Strait and then into the Coral Sea. That's not a usual path, I might say.
Sure.
So there's obvious surveillance activity that would take place, and that's normally done in a professional way. We would expect the Chinese government to respond, because it is not an acceptable act by international standards, and they need to explain that.